Oh, hi, didn't see you there. I'm Sean. This is Cadmapper.com. I'm clicking try it now. That makes sense, right? I'm curious about this one spot in San Francisco I was looking at, and it's just kind of like this suburb over here, and then it's a suburb over here, and then there's just this mountain in between. I can click, and then click another spot up to 1 square kilometer in total size, in order to make a map, make a 3D map of this area. I'm gonna bring it into Rhino because Rhino's 3D and awesome. So I have Rhino selected, and I'm gonna make 3D buildings. Might as well. I'm gonna set a false height if there's no 3D data. Like a lot of random little buildings, they might have no data. Not like the Eiffel Tower or something. Road geometries, I'm putting to center lines for this. I find it the easiest to work with. And topography, I have turned on, but contours I don't. That is empty because I'm going to make them myself with a Grasshopper script. Click and create file. Now I'm just waiting for this to be available to download. Over here there's going to be a 3D axonometric view, a 2D view, a topography view. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. I'll download that. Okay. So it's downloading a zip folder. That's right here. You can click on this to see where it is. There's a bunch of other stuff I downloaded recently. Right-clicking on the new folder. Extract all. I'm just extracting it here. It's just going next to it, but I should be moving this into a new location. Now I have Rhino booted up already. If you don't have the same windows, you need to be able to see at least your layers, and that these buttons, the viewport properties, the display. You need these three. If you don't see them, maybe you go to window. There's panels here. There's also window layouts. You could go to the default, say no to saving this, and it's gonna refresh everything, and it'll have your layers there. I think you do it. Doing it. So I have Rhino booted up here, and I'm going to, just to make sure that the units are all set, file new and set it to large objects feet. I just want to make sure that my units are right and that it's not accidentally in meters or anything like that. So that refreshed. If you don't see the layers tab over on the side here and the viewport properties and the display right here, these three buttons in the corner, if you don't see those, you should just go to window layouts, and default window layout, and it should refresh and load back in. So I made a new Rhino file, made sure it's feet, I can see the layers, I see all that stuff. I'm ready to import the file. So file, import, and it's this file here. You might have to look for it. It's in the thing that you just unzipped. So I click that there. Okay, I can click on the perspective here. Like if I want to just be top view, just be perspective view. Okay, zooming out. Wow, beautiful. What an interesting area. Glad that I have the 3D mesh that is the mountains. Okay, so looking at what we have here, I'm going to pull out the layers because the default file new, when I did that, it has just these empty layers, like the red, purple, blue, green, white. I mean, I can just delete those for now because there's nothing on them anyway. So I'm just gonna delete those. Okay, so there's layers here that do have stuff, like the buildings layer. I can change that to red so I see it, or maybe I want it to be yellow. Okay, the paths. That's not quite a road, it's a path. I don't know if there's any here. Oh, look at that. There's a little path going up the mountain up here. Super cute. Okay, minor road. There's minor roads. Those are like these. These are like little suburb roads here. That's on its own layer. And major roads, that's like this, cutting through right there. There's one up here. There's also a water. I don't think there's any water in this scene though. Oh, it looks like there's maybe a little river here. That's what it says. And topography is this surface itself. It's really a mesh. What is this? Is this parks? Yeah, it is. Interesting. Okay, cool. So I mean, I put that to dark green. I don't really need this parks layer. I'm just gonna turn that visibility off. I don't think I need this water layer. There's not really much there. I'll keep the paths, the major road, the minor road, and the buildings. I'll just leave those for what they are there. The topography though, I'm going to turn it back on. And I'm going to make this into a thick surface that's more smooth, because this actually like has jagged edges here. And I'm also going to make contour lines. I'm going to do a lot of that with a Grasshopper script that I made. So tools, Grasshopper, in order to open Grasshopper in Rhino. Rhino and Grasshopper are best friends. They work together great. And I'm going to open the file that is available on the Miro. It's loading. So in the Miro, I have this this file here. You can click on it, click on that. It's gonna give you the option to download it. I already have it downloaded, so I don't need to. And this is Grasshopper. You can close out of this getting started with Grasshopper. I don't need that. And these things, those are just like other files you could open, but you don't need to do that either. Open, which is green, you could also file open. And I'm gonna find that topography contours from mesh topology Grasshopper script that I made for you. And I'm going to click open and say ignore that. That was just something from before. And you won't see that. What you'll see is this. You might actually see this if you've never used Grasshopper before. So I like display draw icons. It's a little bit easier to read. This is also like a flow chart of data information. This is coding but without syntax. It's just components linked like nodes. Don't worry about the fancy lingo. It automates stuff that you would do in Rhino. So like, how there's all these different commands in Rhino. Each one of these is a command or a step in a sequence of events that does stuff. I'm going to zoom in on the first on thing, double click that to turn it off, and this orange thing right here, this one, that is an empty mesh component. I want to assign this mesh here to this, because right now this is empty. This represents a mesh, but it doesn't have any mesh to choose. They're long lost soulmates, right? So I'm going to right click on this, set one mesh. Okay, and then it lets me pick in here. I'm just going to click on this. Yep, okay. And now this is green because it has something there. It's this. That is this now in here. I'm going to turn off this sub D not mesh here because this is good, but just start it without it. And I'm going to turn this on. It's going to take a few seconds on your computer, depending on how fast your computer is. And look at that. Okay, wow, interesting. It's made this into a solid ground, and it's also done all these little contour lines, meaning like the height, marking all the different heights. Okay, cool. Is it exactly what I want? Not quite. I'm going to turn this back off and then change the contours to 10 feet because there are so many there. You might want to adjust this just so you get like an amount of those lines that look good. And I'm going to turn this sub D not mesh to true, which is going to make everything smooth. It's going to take just a little bit longer to process. So I turn this back on. It's figuring it out. It's doing all this, logic. It's cutting. Oh, there it is. It's done. Okay, so here's this. I can turn off topography in Rhino. So I turn that off. Look at that. That looks so smooth. That looks great. Wow, really nice little area over here. That's beautiful. Okay. But if I just closed Grasshopper right now, nothing would be here. All this gray, all these lines, it would all disappear because it's not baked. This is all just a simulation. It's not real if it's just in Grasshopper. Look, it's just a preview. This is just a preview until I right click on this and then click bake. I'm not going to do it quite yet because I need to make new layers. Everything that's new and needs to be in a category in Rhino should get a layer. So up here is new layer, and I'm going to name this new ground. Okay. And I don't know, should this be a little bit brown, something like that? Okay. Then I'm going to also make another new layer and call it new contours. What should this color be? I don't know. Orange? It doesn't matter. It could be black too. Okay. I want to assign this into Rhino as a real thing. I'm going to bake it. Right click on this icon, bake, and I'm going to bake it into the new ground layer. And it thinks, and it just did it. So now it's actually there. If I turn this off, it's there. It's really there in Rhino. It's selectable, all that. I'm going to turn this back on because I want to do it to the contours down here. Letting it think. I want those sweet, sweet contour lines that mark each step of the height of curved round terrain. Is it still thinking? Seems so. Is it? There it is. There it is. Okay. So here is that. I'm going to right click this, bake into new contours. Okay. Now once I've done that, then I can turn this back off. I can close out of this. I don't need it anymore. I'm not using it. And things are looking pretty interesting. Okay, so I got my buildings. That's on the buildings. I got my ground here. So if I turn off the ground, look, I just have the contour lines that are set. Is it 10 feet? This video is worth watching a couple times at least. It's awesome. It shows you display modes and how you can show things in all these different styles. This is very helpful too. It should be about line weights, layout, and printing. The basics of the layout, I'll make a new one here. I had one this already made. Okay. So it's like I'm looking at it this way, but I can click down here, plus new layout. Thank goodness that I started a new Rhino file that was surely in feet and not some other units, so that I don't have to start over right now. And I can just click OK. Now that's the site that I had, but it's in this random scale, right? If I double click into it, then I can get in and I can change one of the display modes to any of this. I can turn off this, starting to look good, and I can change the print color for the buildings here. But notice I'm zooming in and out. It's changing scale drastically. I can see that right here. I can set this to 1/64, and that is it. That's the size of it. So it's a good spot. I can zoom in. Maybe I do 1 to 128, but you probably don't need to go that far out. And I'm in print preview here. If I double click in here, It's also print preview. It's looking good, looking good. Okay, so let's say I want to make the paths black or gray like that, and or I have to choose this to be gray like that, or is it this? There it is. Chose that one, and the print width, do I want it to be like extra thick, and the major roads, what if I make this like 10 millimeters thick? That doesn't look great. Well, that's something else. This is how you change line weights and color in your drawings, like this. The other videos show that too. The important thing was that I show you how to do it to scale. I'll show you again. I'm clicking in it, click this over here, and say if I was 1/16 to a foot, it would be like this, though this is quite zoomed in, and you might have to do drawings on bigger pieces of paper, but 1 to 128 fits what I wanted to show. Good, like that. It's interesting right here. Interesting too. Okay. Section. Okay, fine. Back over in section, back in perspective, I can turn this on. This is the advantage to having a ground like this. I'm going to make a clipping plane, typing that in, and click vertical, click holding shift or ortho, whatever, making a surface like this, and I'm going to move it through. So let's say if I want this section here, or if I want it to be rotated, I can do this. I want it to be rotated the other way. Rotate again. 180. Okay. And slide this back a bit. See, that's good. Where I'm seeing the valley down here and the buildings up behind it is interesting. That's a nice one. So what is that at the front? If I do this and change this to that, is that the thing? If I click this might not be active until I go into the settings here and do that. Okay, yep, there it is. So I can make a new layout. Also 11 by 17. Let's say I pick a bigger one, Arc D, 24 by 36. You'll do more drawings like that in the future, and it might be a tiny bit of an angle, but it's anyway. Okay, so let's change this to set view front. It's not cutting through because I just got to go here and here and turn this on and change this view mode to, what is it, copy of Arctic. Is that it? If I have this selected, I can change this display mode to what, Arctic. That's interesting. If I zoom in, I can make this 1 to 64, and that looks better here. Okay, and nice. So if I double click, that looks good, I think. So if I need to print this section, I can press this, print, and it'll print it out. And if I just click that, it's making a PDF, and I can name it something, and I could go do this one too, and I can print this one out, and it'll look like that. And I press print, and I do this again, and I click save, and now I can open these up into Adobe Acrobat. Just double check them, make sure the line weights are there. So I put the grid there by accident, it seems, on that one. You can turn off layers, you can turn on layers. I'm just rushing through this tutorial because I don't want to waste too much of your time. You will learn by just playing with it, by getting lost in the program. It is okay to get lost in the program and play with it. That's how you learn. You're not here to just copy everything. You're not here to just, I'm going to copy this exactly like that, I'm going to copy this exactly like that, because you won't know how to solve new problems that haven't been able to be solved yet. Be someone that makes your own recipes, not just following other people's recipes. But this is how you get stuff like a section and a plan to scale in Rhino. There is Make 2D if you want to do that, and then bring it over to AutoCAD. Plenty of videos about that. This video has gone long enough, I'm sure. Bye.